In this video, I want to tell you about my new favorite belt for sharpening knives on the 1x30 belt sander. I'll tell you what it is, why I like it, and where you can get them. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 67, I think, of the Thursday Night Grind. Here we are in the beginning of May 2021, and I just want to make sure that you are aware of the Guild of Professional Sharpeners before I get into talking to you about these belts that I'm excited about. The Guild of Professional Sharpeners is where I learned about these belts and where I have learned so much about sharpening, and that's the point. It is a community of people who are learning about sharpening and also learning how to monetize that skill in the form of a business. Some side hustlers, some retirement jobs, some as full-time sharpeners, the whole gamut. And it's a really supportive community, and if it's something that you are interested in, like learning from other people who are doing the thing that you'd like to do, which is smart, then you should check out guildofsharpeners.org and become a member today. Say hello to my 1x30 belt sander. This is a Grizzly. I've done a little stuff over here which isn't going to look normal to you. More on that later, so make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the thumbs up so you get a little notice every time I put a new video up. But anyway, what we're talking about today is the belt right here. And I do almost... I'm just careful because I don't want to tell you something that's not true, but I will prep most knives on the 1x30 before I finish them on some other tool in my shop. And the reason is because the 1x30 to me is the fastest tool for getting material back, cutting a bevel back so that I have restored an edge. And then once I have an edge, I can refine it to whatever I want it to. And that could be a carry knife, a kitchen knife, a tactical knife, a garden tool, an axe, a hatchet, a machete, whatever. I'm going to prep it here and I'm going to cut an edge here. Next, I want to tell you about the progression that people go through, including myself, as we get to learn about belts. You see my belt wall behind me here, right? Like no shortage of belts, and I've played this game for a little bit. So here's how it starts, and just stop me if you've heard this one before or if this is you. First off, you figure out like 1x30's belt sanding is good. Like it saves you a tremendous amount of time in whatever sharpening method you're doing. So you get into it and it blows you away. Like, wow, like it is a bit of a learning curve and it's cool. And you get like one 120 grit belt that comes on it. And you're like, well, you wear it out, it doesn't cut anymore. You don't even know what it's made out of. So you go buy some more and you go to like whatever, Grizzly or probably Amazon, and you try to find the cheapest belt you can get, and you get a whatever 10 pack for $10. You get $1 a belt. Yeah, all right, that's pretty good. And then time goes on and you learn more about belts, and you learn that the ones that you got are probably made out of aluminum oxide. Like that's the abrasive on them. And you find like, you know, you get a few, like 10, I don't know, the first you put it on and it's fresh and you take a pass on each side, you get some material off. By the time you get into 10 knives later, like you're doing like 10 passes per side, like the blade's heating up, it's not you're touching the belt and like, it doesn't really feel like it's very coarse anymore, and you get as much life out of it as you can because you're cheap, and then you end up, you throw it away, you put a new one on, and you find yourself buying belts a lot. And then you're shopping for belts, and you start talking to people, and you're like, someone says, yo, have you tried a ceramic belt? And you're like, no, what does that mean? So anyway, you do it, you go buy a ceramic belt, and it blows your mind, and you're like, whoa, these are sweet. First off, they cut like magic, and then they last super long. I mean, you still wear them out, you swap them out, but you get way more now. Like you pay 3 times as much for a belt, which feels bad at first, but then you realize you're getting 3 times as much work out of them, so it actually makes sense and it feels good. And you do that for a long time, and then you come across a video like this one, or you have a conversation with a guy like Cliff, and he's like, I don't use those anymore because I'm a Cubitron guy. And you're like, I am interested, I don't know much about it. And you go through the same thing again where, like, in this case, they're really not much more. But you get some Cubitrons and you try it out and you're like, wow, again. Like, I didn't think it got any better. Like, what happened? How'd you guys, whatever. Okay, like, here it is. I'm a Cubitron guy. Like, they're awesome. And here are some reasons why I think the Cubitrons are awesome. All right, so I got a problem. Like, the reason I held out on the Cubitrons for as long as I did is because I was trying to practice some belt discipline. I have 2 packs of aluminum oxide belts I'm probably going to be sitting on for forever. I did the Black Friday thing and or Cyber Monday, whatever it was. I bought a year's worth of edge core ceramic belts. So I have all of these belts, and I was like, man, I want to try the Cubitrons, but I got to get through some of my belts, right? And then Cliff reached out to me, and extended a discount on his Cubitrons in the guild, and I was like, dude, I can't, I have to. I did. So I bought some Cubitrons, and I put them on. Here's the first thing that I noticed when I put them on. Usually when I put any belt on, whether it's aluminum oxide or ceramic, I choose my first knife wisely, because it takes a little bit to wear. It takes a few knives to wear them in. So I might do, forgive me, like a lower quality knife. It's going to cut a little more aggressively. It sends a little more stuff off. I just don't want to put a really nice knife on one of those belts that is not worn in just a little bit. But I noticed with the Cubitrons, it cut, like, there was none of that. It cut awesome right away, and it wasn't like, it felt like it was already kind of like it's been worn in a little bit. So that was the first thing where I was like, oh, like, I like that. That's nice. And then the next thing was the cut quality, and meaning like the material removal rate and the surface finish. So I got the 120 grit belts, and the surface finish is comparable to 120 grit belts. The material removal rate was exceptional, and that I'm back to that place where I'm doing really like one pass, and I got a burr up on both sides. And what that means to me is time. That is a tremendous amount of time saved. Now that knife is ready to go to the next stage. The third thing that is still standing out to me is longevity. And that's one thing that really stood out to me when I went to ceramic blades. But I'm seeing it again. Like, I'm now past the point where I would have put that ceramic belt, I think I said blades, ceramic belt in the garbage, and I'm still cutting with the Cubitrons, and I'm still cutting with one pass, and I have a burr up. And yeah, that's it. I'm sold. Like, there's nothing else that you need to give me to say, like, you should get Cubitrons. That's it. I'm in. So I'm a Cubitron guy. Thank you so much, Cliff, for sharing these with me, getting me into it, and getting them in my shop, and for your reaching out and your generosity to us in the guild. Regardless of that, like, they're worth the money. So I'm going to include. So the next question is, where do I get these Cubitrons? I'm going to include the link to Cliff's shop to go buy these Cubitrons. And let's talk about that for a minute. All right, I'm a food guy, right? Like you are too, we all are. We all eat food. I have grown to the place where I've become aware that the food that I buy in the supermarket pales in comparison to the food that I buy in my community. And like, other people figured that out too, and they have asked for like labels and things to like say whether or not like things are good, like organic or like cage-free or grass-fed, and like all of these things have a little like like a certification, right? Where like a big ag farmer can't put that stamp on it unless they go through these things. And then what that big ag farmer does is like they do those things, like an inspector shows up, they pass the inspection, but they still find all the ways that they can cut the corners so they can still get the stamp, but they can make as much money in the process. So I've kind of lost my, I don't know that I never put much faith in the labels. So what I have come to is, one, I try to grow it myself. But two, what's important here for this conversation is the other thing, that if I know the first name of the person who grew or raised whatever I'm consuming, that's good with me. So I get my meat, my meat I get from Eric and Tina. I also get flowers from Tina, but I don't necessarily eat the flowers. But I spend my money in my community. All my goat products I get from Donna Lee. What for my veg, I go to Steve. He's my neighbor. And if I have a question, like, dude, like we're having these carrots as dessert. They're so good. How do you do this? And that's my litmus test. Like he answers me and we talk about it. He's amazing. And I wish I could grow food like Steve does. Point being, when I do, like, I don't care about the labels. What I care about is, do I know the person who's growing my food? And if I do, that's a check mark for me. I'm good. I don't care what the price comparison is to what's in the store because it's not an even comparison. Okay, so I share all that with you to say, like, I don't care who sells Cubitron belts because Cliff does. So I'm going to spend my money with Cliff. And when I do that, then I know Cliff, like I know what he's doing and like the way he's raising, like doing this as a family, and like I know where my money's going. So I'm really happy to spend $100 to Cliff Curry at Curry Cutlery. And like, I don't care. I've never even looked at anywhere else to get Cubitron belts, and I'm not going to, and I don't care. So, because I don't want to spend my money anywhere else than with Cliff. So that's that. And that's the link you're going to find below to Cliff's shop. I hope that you can also find that motivation to, one, spend money in your community, because that matters. And two, in this case, like no one in my community is selling Cubitron belts for 1x30. The next best option is go by first name. I'm going to spend my money to Cliff, and I hope you do too. So there's my rant. There's the connection to it. I hope you take me up on that. Support Cliff and the work he does. And lastly, before I close this out, make sure you like and subscribe my channel, hit the thumbs up, and catch me for the next Thursday Night Grind, because there is more still stuff coming down the line. Thank you.